Lenderblock and focus,
Yeah.
And I felt like I was having an identity crisis, not being able to focus on this. I put so much work into it that.
You've been doing this since we were in school.
Yeah. I've been.
Like I remember you showing me your first few lines of code for this.
Just prototypes and it started from just a course, Udemy course. So
I love Udemy.
Not for real.
Udemy is a freaking.
Hey, we're live, guys. I didn't announce that.
Oh, bet. Okay.
Hey, Lenderblock Podcast. Let's go. And this is the Lenderblock Podcast, the first of 2023. I welcome you all to Lenderblock Podcast, and this is very exciting because we have girls on the podcast for the first time. Yeah!
This is the first time we don't have
no cap.
Really?
Yeah, we started doing it in October. You are the first as a woman to be on the podcast, and even better, 2 engineers from Morgan State University who I went to school with. So very big deal. This is Nia Drummond and Ivana Perry.
Hi, guys.
So, guys, I want to introduce them. Also, my good friend Brian here is back from LA. We have one more day with him, so we're glad he can make it on the podcast. Yes, sir. Right back to LA with it, and then Kane and I we're always here. We're central to Lenderblock Corporation, which is a software development firm. Lenderblock Corporation allows members to lend and borrow peer-to-peer for the Blender platform, which is our first app. You can create a credit line, choosing your own interest rate and minimum monthly payment. Put that credit line out on the platform where other members choosing to act as lenders can choose that credit line and lend to it and receive the interest compounding payments, which otherwise would have been given to a bank through a credit card or whatever else. So it's basically taking the bank out of the loop and increasing the interdependence of people by creating a network where you're lending and borrowing within your community. It's pretty wise to, let's say you create a credit line at 12%, very competitive to receive lender contributions, and then you decide to receive some of those funds which you withdrawn and lend them to another credit line that maybe is offering a higher interest rate. Those are very wise things to do. You have to be very cognizant of things like the user credibility statistics, so you can really ascertain the credit worthiness of your borrower before you lend. You also need to look at the credit line in general. How many other lenders are there? What's the current active balance which can be withdrawn? The credit utilization percentage. These are all things. You're basically acting like a bank. So it's good to be kind of programmatic and strategic in how you're assessing the individuals that you could potentially lend to before you deem them worthy of receiving your funds. But the good thing is you can always reclaim your funds whenever you're ready. You can always make a reclaim, but you can only reclaim funds which have not yet been withdrawn by the borrower. So if I lend $10, everyone here, there's 5 of us here, we all lend $10 or $50 in the pool. The borrower, you, the individual watching this, you withdraw 25 of those dollars. Now we each have $5 to withdraw, which we can reclaim because half of our money each has been used up by you who made the withdrawal. So you can reclaim those funds at will. Secondly, you have collateral for every bit of your principal. This is because the credit limit is equal to the amount of collateral which has been put down in a credit line. So when I create a credit line, this is the only caveat that I want to improve upon once we get our investment funding from an external investor. I want to rearrange just one piece of it, but I need to keep it here right now to make sure everyone's safe while using the platform, especially in its infancy stages. But the collateral needs to be equal to the credit limit. That way, if you withdraw any amount of money, you can only really be in debt the amount of principal, or rather, I'll just say you can only be in debt the amount of money which has been put down as collateral for you. So if you put down $100 to borrow against as many times as you want, you can only be in debt a total of $100. This does not include the interest, which will compound monthly on your debt balance. But for the actual principal, which is I've actually withdrawn these physical dollars from the pool, you can only withdraw X amount of dollars without repaying that balance down. It's just like your credit card credit limit, to avoid explaining something that everyone already understands. What else? That's the Blender platform. It's very simple. You load money onto your credit line by putting in your debit card info into our third-party payment provider, which is Stripe. We do a 3DS2 verification, which is a Euro standard for countries in the EU, but it allows your bank to put your card through second-factor authentication in the case that the bank may suspect that the transaction may be fraudulent or may be coming from maybe some threat actor. These are things that we all have in place. This transitions over to our second app, which is a partner platform. The partner platform allows you to create what we call partnerships. A partnership is also known colloquially or culturally as susu or tanda, or I heard names like hoi, cuchubales. Latin America, the Caribbean, susu, like I said already. And what it is it allows, let's say, all of us here in a group of 5, and we all join a group. I invite the 4 of you to a group, and we have 5 of us here. I usually use 10 because the numbers are a little easier. But I invite all 5 of us. All 5 of us are in the group, and I say, okay, these are the terms of the group. We're going to contribute cyclically to the group. This is what a partnership is. We are going to contribute cyclically to a group, let's say once every month, at a fixed value. The fixed value will be, let's say, $100 a month. So every month there should be, well, each month one person will have a turn and won't have to contribute, but each month one person will get to withdraw that sum. So there'll be 400 every single month that the 4 of you have contributed. Now, the first month, because I'm the manager, I invited all of you. I will withdraw 400. Next month, Kane's turn, he will withdraw 400, and I'll be contributing along with the rest of you. Ryan now gets to withdraw 400. We all contribute 400. Yvonne gets to withdraw 400. Now he gets to withdraw 400. By the time that complete period has done, one complete period, we all will have withdrawn and contributed a total of $400. So it balances out that way, where it's a savings platform. However, the benefit comes in that you can ask for an earlier turn. So let's say, Yvonne, you have an unforeseen expense, which just time-wise would be perfectly covered if you could have Kane's spot, which is after mine. And you ask the manager, me, which I have explicit privileges as the manager, not as me, Michael Lewis, but if I were the manager, I would have explicit privileges to switch turns. So you ask in the chat, hey, there's a chat in every credit line. I have demos showing this on YouTube where you can kind of look at this and live demos where I've done them right here. So you ask for that swap, and I can swap the turns, and now you just have to wait a little bit longer before you have your next turn because you had a swap with Kane. Kane now will have your old turn and his turn that he was already scheduled to have. So you'll get a double if you wait a little bit longer. So it kind of balances out that way. The benefits really multiply when you have a large group of people within a partnership. That way everyone can kind of cycle through, not essentially it's not something you don't think about your turn to withdraw frequently. If it only comes to me once or twice a year, that's fine. But it's when you do get those funds where it really shows, damn, now I have $5,000 at once. I put this all here for myself, or I put down half of it, and I'll continue to put down the other half as the period completes. But that's really the basics of it, and it's a cultural practice that we're just what I like to say is we're amalgamating it into one system, one name. But it's done culturally in a lot of different subcultures, but it's not known through one name or by one identity within the melting pot, which is USA. So what we're doing through the Blender platform is allowing people to use it through a blockchain-powered application with documented transaction histories, with accountability put in place for all members. Here's the next thing. If one of the members, let's say, God forbid, but let's say I forget to contribute, or I'm not able to contribute, rather would make more sense. I'm not able to contribute for one turn. And now Kane has less money to withdraw on his turn, right? In that case, this is the thing here. The Blender platform is based on collateral. You're safe no matter if the person is trustworthy or not for your principal. However, the partner platform is not built that way. The partner platform is built on trust. The partner platform is something that requires you to add friends. You add those friends, and then only then can you invite those friends to become a part of your partnership, because you need to know who they are. You have to be able to see them on a regular basis, hold them accountable. It's primarily used for families, like I said, close cultural groups, maybe church groups, covenant groups like neighborhood associations, things like that, PTA, parent-teacher associations, anything of that nature where you really are actually in a position where you can see that person every day, or once a week. Just accountability within the social structure. So those are the two apps, the Blender platform, the partner platform. They're siblings. What I'm coming to the world with is this concept of nuanced finance, modernized for the modern age, using blockchain for its most altruistic purpose, which is decentralization without a central authority, allowing people to basically conduct trustless transactions, meaning that you don't need trust to know that they're true and correct because of consensus algorithms. that's really the basis of the whole blockchain technology, and by that you're able to really circumvent a lot of over leveraged financial institutions, which can impose what I like to think of as tariffs, fees, and of course we charge fees as well for transactions because we have to in order to grow. However, we're not at the scale of a Bank of America charging you a fee if you don't spend $500 a month, even a larger fee if you don't if it's a business account. 1.5% of transactions here, X, Y, and Z. So lend to people in your neighborhood, borrow from people in your family, keep the cycle going, grow it, stop going through the bank. If the bank has all the leverage over our money, the people have none. Mm-hmm. If we become our own bank through the social practices which made us humans in the first place, like bartering, sharing, covenants, it's just social practices. But this is capitalism also. It's a capitalistic way of implementing social reform. And we had interviews with people like Carter Flagg. For those of you who have seen that, go back and watch that interview with Carter Flagg. That was one of our first podcasts. That was the first podcast which we had an actual guest which you interviewed. But go check that one out. But we just talk about a lot of our understandings of capitalism and how we think of it as individuals. But
Get down.
Yeah. So yeah, guys, check out all our videos. I have a lot of content that just covers everything that I've just mentioned, even in more detail, live demos. Just keep checking out all that stuff. And also, we have our apparel. A lot of us are wearing the apparel right now. All of us are wearing the apparel right now. It's very clean, very, very fire. We have more stuff on our website. It's a clean set. I can't lie to you. It's a very clean set. It's a clean set. And they like the quality.
Stand up for me real quick.
All right. So you see, I got the fin on. Like
turn. Look, hold the left leg up real quick. That's fire.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So you guys see me, and I'm trying to grow this thing through more means than one. I don't simply want to have a company that some may deem boring or inaccessible or far removed from their daily life. Oh, it's finance. Well, what is that all about? The clothing is to make us a more accessible and relatable company. And I like clothing. I always, I think it's cool that we have a logo that's so aesthetic. Why not? The partner platform logo is aesthetic. Why not make it a clothing item that people can, help share the word with? So it just helps us in general. The content is the same thing. Getting the word out there in diverse means. That's the way that we're gonna grow our company and build this audience, build this family that we're building, which you are a part of, obviously, and also get funds into the company to make this whole process better in terms of making our products better, our software is better, more engineers. I make everything, so I built all the software. And although I can do it, and I keep building more things now because I have more projects that I'm working on right now to release, I do understand that it's not an ideal situation for one person to be working on so many things. Because I still need to develop my life also. So the whole idea is to get funds in, get investors in, get external ownership of the company in. I'm open to that as well. As long as that entity who's coming in is offering something of value that we can tangibly convert into more opportunities, more resources, which we can feed back into the same loop and do the same thing with.
I know that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's simple. It's very simple. Like it's nothing. Like for me, it's not complex. It's very we're preparing everything to the point where we operate this company on less than $200, $300 a month. And those fees are mostly going for AWS and just software processing fees. But the actual business itself doesn't scale. The cost of running this business doesn't necessarily become more expensive with the more traffic that it gets. Mm-hmm. That comes more from expanding our corporate operations, getting more people, becoming a stronger company. But in terms of just the throughput, has no the resistance to the throughput doesn't increase by the amount of throughput. It stays constant. For those of you who may, have some ideas of what I'm thinking. So you just have to, believe in what we're doing and support like you are. And I appreciate that. We all appreciate that. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
Stay in the loop. Follow us on all social media. We're on Instagram, Discord, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, everything. The apps are also available in Spanish. You can go in and change in your settings tab. You can convert them to Spanish and say primary language is Espanol. go through, use it. It's just to make it more accessible. Once again, more individuals. We are doing trips to Mexico in the spring of 2023 this year, because we are expanding and reaching out to the culture to understand a bit more about how we need to program our software to become more understandable for that audience. I want to make it accessible to everyone. I'm a Black American, so that's my perspective. But I think in order for us to make the product a bit better for a demographic maybe stemming from Central or South America, which is a growing and very powerful demographic sect within our United States community.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth investing the time to go there. Of course, we're going to be showing you everything that we're doing, so you can kind of see the content and become a part of that too. But it's really to go there, understand more about what we need to do to serve the market better. And that's really the whole purpose of that.
Expansion, yes, sir.
Expansion, really real
Yes,
tangible expansion. So
that is so dope.
thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just ambitious. We understand that the product itself is ubiquitously useful. Everyone can benefit from it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So because of that, there's no reason why we shouldn't be marketing it to a certain person.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they're rich, you're rich, lend to people. You're on the lower end, poverty maybe is creeping up on you, borrow funds. Maybe help people who you know, lend to them too. And if you're in the middle, do both. Borrow, lend. Make the partnerships with the people in your family. Help support the people in your family by holding them accountable to a pool. Hey, you had a chance to withdraw, man, but you didn't finish explaining that scenario either. Let's say I fail to contribute for Kane and he has less to withdraw. Well, next time I have a turn, my withdrawal sum gets deducted by what I owe Kane, and it goes to Kane automatically through the smart contract to his wallet. So it's automatically programmed to balance out expenses. The only downside is if you're on the last round and if I'm on the last period and I have my turn and then I say, well, I'm not contributing for anyone else because I guess the last round I'm not contributing for anyone. That's human nature as well. That unfortunately has no mitigation at this moment. That's the trust part where you have to trust people.
Mm-hmm.
I suggest people go through several. Don't make your partnership one round where everyone gets one turn. Make it 3, 4, 5 rounds. That way, at least it's for a purpose, And if a person does fail to contribute, completely never contributes, there will be adequate funds from what they failed to contribute for everyone else. It'll be deducted. They'll have $0. That will work. But as long as it's not the last round. If it's the last round, there's no mitigation for it at this moment. So there are ways to mitigate that, but it takes a bit more resource, a bit more funds. Insurance companies need to partner with us, but you need a bit more oomph for that. So a bit more leverage is a perfect word I was looking for. Exactly.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Yep.
Hold on, wait. This the link right here?
I shared the link with you guys.
All is blessed. Listen, you were excited, and you're still excited. That's fine. Give us 2 seconds, Saints, as we're just sharing links with people. What does that read? Switch hyphen?
Yeah, it's Lenderblock. It's twitch.tv/Lenderblock Corp.
/Lenderblock Corp.
Yep. Alright, let me
This is correct?
Yep.
Amen. Okay.
Right.
I might go live on my phone actually. Just to show some people what's going on.
We'll look on Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do it on my personal because I have probably the most engagement of any of the business pages. I don't do this often. Go. guys. So now we're gonna get into some global news, which is the theme for this podcast. So we do news sometimes, and we do interviews. Sometimes I do internal discussions over things within the company. However, we're going through some news today, covering some global news, guys, U.S. news, and then also some cultural news. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be very, very intriguing, very cool, deep discussion. Let's start off with our global news. I wanted to bring this in, and I choose the topics for this, guys, and I thought this was very interesting. Ivana came to me earlier and was like, "Why'd you put this in? Why'd you put this in there? Like, what was the purpose of this?" And I was just like, "Well, I think it's interesting because, and this is the topic. So it's U.S. warships in Taiwan waters. Right now, U.S.-China tensions are rising over Taiwan, and this is because Taiwan plays a pivotal role within the global semiconductor industry. Semiconductors are things like silicon, which allow electrical engineering to basically take place because of its structure, its crystalline lattice structure that allows special properties to take place within it with electrons. That's basically the principle of all microchips and advanced electronics that you use today, whether it's a small sensor to a complex piece of machinery like a laptop. So these microchips, 90% of them are produced in Taiwan itself, and Taiwan is neighboring China. So you would think that China would have, control over Taiwan because it's its neighbor in terms of a global power, in terms of the majority of, I guess you could say, partisan agreements and teamwork. You would think that there would be more teamwork between China and Taiwan than there is between the U.S. and Western nations in Taiwan. However, that's not the case. Taiwan is a U.S. territory. I'm not sure if it was made a U.S. territory because it was known that they had the capacity for manufacturing these chips and also sourcing materials for these chips. I'm not sure if that was done in foresight, but I think the U.S. has had control over Taiwan for quite a while. This may also come because Taiwan does not want to be ruled by China as a mere external state, and perhaps the U.S. provides a bit of stability and recognition for for Taiwan, which it doesn't receive from China. Basically, I'm saying China may treat Taiwan like a little sibling that doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. The U.S. may buff up Taiwan and say, "Go Taiwan, we'll invest in you, Taiwan. We'll put jobs here.
Cultures are different too between like China and the U.S.
Yeah, like for sure.
Government and stuff like that. Right?
Well, that's a good point though. The way that China imposes itself in countries may be different than the way the U.S. imposes itself on countries. So I guess what I wrote here is, what do you guys think about that? And that's kind of the whole topic. I prefaced it, and now let's think about, how do you feel about the U.S. entering a foreign land where the people are basically like living their own lives and they think they're benefiting? They are, but the U.S. the real reason behind the control is because China can't make enough military weapons to compete with the U.S. The U.S.'s generation of military weapons, because those microchips are essential to making any weapon. And the U.S. pours a majority of its microchips into weapons manufacturing and testing, and it's an enormous portion of the reason why Taiwan is producing those chips. So, how do you feel about that? You're living here in the USA, but of course we live here, so of course you want the USA to be most powerful, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we have consciences. So, what do you think?
So is it like it might not be ethical? Like, why did you say we have conscience?
Well, I think it. I don't know. Is it ethical? Is it ethical?
Hey, if the people of Taiwan are good, I'm good.
Yeah, it's like if they're, people in Taiwan cool with it. Like,
right.
Who am I to say they shouldn't?
Right.
Who am I to say they shouldn't?
Right. Okay. Let me bring it back a step further. Okay. We have and guys who are live on my Instagram right now, come on to the YouTube or the Twitch. Our YouTube channel is just type in youtube.com/@Lenderblock Corp. Then you'll find our YouTube channel, or go to twitch.tv/Lenderblock Corp. You'll find the Twitch. They're both going to show you live streams. But take it back a step further. The majority of cobalt, for example, is mined in the Congo, Central Africa. There are sometimes within an acre, sometimes over 1,000 people mining within an acre of space, which is not a lot of space, by the way. I know it sounds like a lot of space, but an acre of space is not a lot of space. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thousands of people within that many space, just looking for any little bit of cobalt they can and passing it on. Chinese manufacturers sometimes are running these mines, but
I don't
nevertheless,
even want to get into that.
it
Chinese
hurts a little
people
bit.
in Africa, like, what are y'all doing here?
Oh,
I just want to know.
Yeah, that's a good
No,
valid.
but you know what? It's not even their fault because a lot of the governments in Africa allow people to come and use their people. Like, you know what I mean? So, like, you can't even get mad. Exactly.
What are you gonna do though if you need a bridge built because a landslide last year killed 20 people, and you need to fix that? And China's coming to you and say, "Hey, I know you guys had a landslide."
I know you got that.
Yeah, so we'll build that for you in 2 months. Like, but here's the loan, and they'll give them a loan that they can't afford to pay for it. And then when they do it through the loan, they say, "Okay, cool, you can't pay this back." So we have control now, at least to some extent, over what we do here, because you owe us trillions of maybe not that many, but almost there. Collectively, definitely over trillions of dollars.
China owing the U.S.
No. Well, that's a different story. But I mean, like, in terms of funds owed by developing nations, owed to China for social infrastructure improvement projects.
That they not gonna pay back.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always going to be a matter of control.
It's control.
It's and when you can financially control someone,
You can do whatever.
you can do whatever. You will always have them.
And the leverage.
You will always have leverage over them. You will always have power over them.
It's like what I'm talking about with the banks.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. They have all the control.
And I feel like, because I was telling you when I got here today that I'm thinking about like studying finance.
Yeah.
Because like personally, I was somebody who I never really had to deal with money. Like, you know, like my dad did everything. Like, he didn't even allow me to work, like, growing up. And I feel like because of these things, like, I don't know about money. And I need to, like, the United States operates.
What do you feel like you don't know?
It's all
a lot.
money.
Like, I don't know the terminologies of, like, things. You probably explained this to me, like, 10 times.
Okay.
And I still don't get it. Like, I don't have that
You're not doing good enough
financial,
What
I don't have that financial intelligence to be able to comprehend the things that I should be able to comprehend as someone living, you know, in the U.S. I use a bank. You know what I mean? Like, I have a savings account. Like, I have a credit card. Like, I need to know certain things, and I feel like I just don't. And I don't want it to, like, get to a point where I've lost money or, like, financial opportunities, and
because you don't understand it.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And I don't know, maybe, like, other people can relate to me, and I definitely think it's something that we need to, like, get into and make sure we're knowledgeable about, because it's really important.
Financial literacy podcast.
Honestly,
You just mentioned it.
What I would definitely say, like, what, because I do agree, and that I felt like was, for a long time, I felt like that was me. Like, there are just certain things about money that I just didn't understand, or that I just didn't relate to. How old are we? I'm 25.
I'm 25.
You're 25
also.
How old are you?
2026.
20. Okay. So we're all mid-20s, pushing 30. So
Dang!
Yeah.
but we,
If you round up.
But look, if you, I was about to say, if you round up, we're
Not that
technically
far.
closer to 30 than we are 20.
Yeah.
So,
of course.
like to go back to what you were saying, like, if there are things that you just don't understand about money, if there are things that you just don't know, Google is honestly going to be one of your best friends. Like,
But if you don't know what to Google,
and okay,
that's the thing about
you gotta have like a
Yeah,
starting
yeah,
point.
and
for
okay,
sure,
fine.
for
Yeah,
sure.
yes, you do have to have a starting point. But even if there are just certain questions that may pop into your head, like, for example, okay, what are stocks? And if your mind just starts to get ticking, like, okay, yeah, I want to invest in stocks. You know, I may want to invest in dividend producing stocks, but am I talking in this?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay.
Just
Amen.
being paranoid. So,
All is well. I think. But like even things like that. So if you're just trying to find a starting point, just asking simple questions, like even if you don't know where to start, just ask the
not bad. I don't like how it's
What you
on
trying to
it.
do?
I want to get it out the way, really. I don't like how it's on.
Okay. Oh, you just wanna
Yeah, just
wanna
lift it
move
up.
it?
Yeah, just move it out.
Okay. Amen.
Yeah.
That works too. But even if it's just starting there, like, what are stocks?
Yeah.
What are bonds? What is credit?
What is Wall Street? What do they do over there?
Fine, and even if that is a question, start there, because that was definitely one of my problems as well. It's just like, where do I start with this money, with this financial journey, and whatever questions I had, even if I didn't necessarily know where to start, if I had a simple question that popped into my head on my part that I may have felt that this is too simple or it's too dumb, it doesn't matter. Just go to Google and look it up, and there are going to be some other things that just pop up that get your wheels turning. Books, start reading books about actual financial whatever it is that you're trying to get into. My father gave me a book last year that I will be starting this year, introducing me to stocks. So just
That's what's up.
putting yourself in the position to actually want to learn about it, even though you don't. Like,
It's scary. Like,
it
for
is
me,
scary.
It's really scary because, like, I feel like the reason why it's a little bit scary for me is because I know that once I know, I have to hold myself accountable, like, financially, and make smart decisions. Like, I have to be responsible, and I already got enough responsibility. Well, no, I don't, but I feel like I do.
Do you feel like maybe you wanna? One thing a lot of people, so generally people want to invest, and that's pretty much what you're talking about, right? Like investment.
Not even that, but like just okay, yeah.
Investment
I mean that's
and
part of it.
investment credit.
Investment, like she mentioned stocks, bonds.
It should be
like,
itemized. Like there should be several key things. Like so, investment. You break down investment. You have real estate. Maybe you have stocks. You have bonds. Maybe a couple other things that people can add on to it. Then you want to learn credit, and then there may be a couple other like major things. Yeah, investment, credit, maybe some other like main pillars, but I think it's pretty itemized, and by being itemized, it helps you to understand like what it is I want to learn. Not just I want to know. I want to know money. You know.
What about money?
Yeah, like what are the specific things?
everything though.
But it takes time though. It's gonna take time. I want to go back to what you just said though, because I know you said that like once you unlock that and once you learn certain things, now you have to hold yourself accountable. But look, like we just said, we're closer to 30 than we are 20. So wouldn't you rather start to have to hold yourself accountable as opposed to you get in trouble with this? Because when you're in financial trouble, in the United States, you're screwed when you're in financial trouble.
That's the worst.
You are.
That's the worst stress you can have is financial.
It's the worst stress that you can have. So it is scary to.
That's the worst.
It is.
Feel like you can't even go outside. Feel like you might as well not even go outside. I might spend money. I might have to.
So even if it is scary, and even if it is something like that you feel that you have some sort of fear towards, it's something that the USA is a business at its core.
For sure. 100%.
Wow, I never looked at it that way.
It is. Wow. Everything that the U.S. has its hands on is related to business. We live in a business-oriented world, society, whatever it is that you want to say.
Our president was an entrepreneur.
We are. So for us to be at the core of a business, it's essential for us to know how money, being the center of a business, works.
Yeah, that's true.
For sure.
That's really true.
Yep. I mean, look. One thing I want to say is I'm gonna move on to another topic too, but it's all connected. It's all kind of one thing. But in order to learn something, it's like math. Anything you want to learn, you have to practice it.
Yes.
Like you can't learn it through theory and concept. It has to come through application. So the best way for you to feel like I said, they're very itemized things that you want to actually pick up on and learn, and all you really want is experience and a feeling of like I've done that before.
Yeah.
That's really all you're looking for. So go, so once the first thing is itemize the things like, okay, what actually do I mean by this concept of knowing money? And I say, okay, you have real estate, through owning property, living in one as well as renting one out. So I'm just breaking things down into smaller items. And then you have investment otherwise through stocks, bonds. And you have cryptocurrencies. Then you have maybe even exchange trading as well if you want to dabble in that. There's investing in small businesses through websites or applications like Nav or WeFund. There's a lot of different ways you can put your money to work. You can put it in different types of accounts. That's investing. You can do Roth IRAs if you want to be kind of hands off. You can do IRAs as well. You can do 401ks, which is similar to Roth IRAs, but I'm not a financial advisor. I know a financial advisor who told me that there's a difference between them.
There's a difference between those two.
I know that one is pre-tax and one is the Roth is going to be a tax only when you withdraw at the end. Is that you guys can hopefully
And I think they,
we should
I
have
think
a
there,
financial advisor.
I think there are different rules like for
Tax
when
now.
you can withdraw.
I think
your
he
money.
actually knows better than he actually probably knows better than I do at least. You said it's Roth is tax now, and then the non-Roth is tax when you withdraw it later.
I think there are different like different age restrictions.
Yes.
Like
58 and a half.
for when you can withdraw your money.
And here's the principle on the Roth. People technically prefer the Roth. I just thought about this, but the reason why they prefer the Roth is because if you have money now, and you have money inflates at 3% per year. So if I have money now, let's say $100,000, that $100,000, I take interest on it before I put it in the Roth, right? And once it's in the Roth, I can take it out without there being more taxes taken out at the end. If I don't do a Roth, the taxes will be taken out at the end. Here's the problem: as time progresses, the amount of money that I'm earning is growing proportionally to inflation. So now, when I made $100,000, that's now next year making $103,000, right? And then now, if I'm still making $100,000, I'm now earning less than I would have been earning had I gotten a raise, and you're supposed to get raises every year. Otherwise, you basically are making less money. That's the whole principle behind it, because that $100,000 is now worth less because the average $100,000 is now effectively equal to 103. Yeah, like it's exactly.
Everybody gets a raise every year.
And that in itself is a
You're
problem.
supposed to get a raise every
You're
year.
supposed to, but it doesn't happen everywhere. And then they keep raising the rent, and it's like, bro.
Right, rent raises, all that stuff raises with inflation.
It does.
So like that's the tide of the capitalist system. So the thing is, when your income is growing with that, right? You're earning more money year after year after year, ideally. When you take that money out at the end, you have more money in there at the point when the percentage of taxes are taken out. It's the same percentage that it would be taken out in the beginning, but if you take it out before right when it goes in, that's less money. Like, it's very weird, but the Roth IRA ends up allowing you to take out, or ends up allowing you to pay less in taxes overall because of the point in time at which the tax is drawn from it. Also, think about the fact that your money ideally is growing in value. So if it grows in value, ideally, because you're supposed to be investing the money that you put into your Roth into stocks. It's the most obvious reason is because you're investing it to grow. Well, if the total amount of money is supposed to grow, ideally, then I'm going to ideally, once again, be paying more money in tax because I'm taking it out at the end. I'm taking out a larger amount. So in both ways, both in the fact of inflation and just the fact that the purpose of putting the money in the Roth is to have it grow, from investing into the stock market, ideally, then it makes sense to do the Roth. But all those types of things, that's what you want to do. And you can, next time you well, if you have one now, or anytime you have a chance, really, is the advice. Get your 401k in order and contribute at least what the matching contribution is for your employer.
Company.
Yeah, yeah. Every time, I've personally saved a lot of money, which has become useful in certain times through Roth IRAs that even started when I was younger, to just a lucky internship. Cool. You can put money in there even if you leave the job. It's still yours. Still yours. So just do those things. Go get a Robinhood account. Don't be just. I know you won't be. You're already apprehensive to try it out. So I know you won't be foolhardy by frivolously spending money on random stocks. But read a little bit. Buy things that make sense. Yeah, I'll buy Apple. Apple's cool. Yeah, I'll buy Amazon. Amazon makes sense. Especially AWS. I'm not sure if they're under the same ticker, but I think they are.
Between Robinhood and Stash.
Stash. Competitive to Robinhood.
I guess they would be. Honestly, I have both.
Okay. Yeah. And even some allow you to do like options trading. Some make you pay like a fee. I've seen people who really do trading have like special like trading apps that I can tell they're paying a fee for access. But the benefits are you can do like stops and shorts. So just try all that. Coinbase Pro.
I think that's
Coinbase Pro lets you do that. No cap.
I haven't been on Coinbase in a minute. It's been a while.
Coinbase is cool.
It's been a while since I've been on Coinbase. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, even just start there. Like looking at the differences between those things. Like what's the difference between a 401k versus a Roth IRA versus this versus that? 'Cause, I mean, there are a lot of similarities. There are a lot of differences, and depending on different circumstances, there may be different things that are more appealing to you, or there may be multiple things for you to get into for you to just set yourself up better in the future. But in order for you to set yourself up, you have to know about it. So that comes with you taking the initiative to learn those things and ask those questions. For a long time, I didn't know that there was a difference between a Roth IRA and a 401k. I was
don't
like,
even know what a Roth IRA is.
and I'm telling you,
It's called.
We got.
It's
Your
called
IRAs versus 401ks. There's so much to.
Yeah.
there
You
are.
think financial literacy should be a part of high school?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Well, you understand
Yeah.
why they don't teach it. Because
Absolutely.
if we know all this, then
Yeah.
it's not going to be special for them to do it.
Of course.
It's only special if only some people are doing it.
Only the higher percenters.
They will start doing it. It's just life.
And it should be. It should be.
Yeah,
It
but
should be.
'Cause if
information
we-
information is power.
Power.
Yeah.
Information is worth more than money because that's how you know how to have access to money is through information. Information. Ancient societies used to hold information with scribes and old people carved around their head.
Right?
And you know what I'm saying? Like for real, old
You're
guys,
not wrong, though.
old guys writing stuff. You could kill them with a sword, and they wouldn't tell you what they know. For real, cause they know like, yo, I'm not sharing this knowledge. I'm telling you, bro. You could kill them with a sword.
people know,
Like
it's
that
over.
happened. That was like real life conquest. That's real life. It's crazy. But now I want to move on. Running out of time because I want to talk about your experiences being engineers at Morgan as well and what you're doing, and just give people a little bit of a background and talk a little bit
His
more.
face is
Uh,
She too.
so, U.S. news: Biden calls for an annual COVID-19 booster. I'm not
Sweet
sure if
God.
it's a man. I'm not sure if it's a mandate yet, but he's definitely like heavily promoting it, wanting it to happen. It's not a mandate, but he's saying like he's basically said, yeah, the research shows that you should be taking them every year. Like
No.
Research
Yo.
they did in what, 2 years?
Thank you.
2 years.
bro, it's crazy. I got vaccinated because I didn't get the vaccine. My health insurance forces me to pay like an extra $50 a month.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't get the booster, but I got vaccinated. But they say it's not enough. I have to
never
get.
got the booster.
Now they got the booster. Nah, why?
For what? For what?
Get myself sick. I don't even get flu shots. I just go outside. Yo. But I'm not a. Hey,
Yeah,
That
I'm not
whole thing just
Food shots or
blows
something.
me. Cause I think the thing that really bothers me, because like like when you're like a baby, I mean, there's certain vaccines that
Yep.
most people take.
Yeah.
And I get it. I'm cool with that because there's been decades of research done on those like vaccines and like diseases and stuff, and like okay, we know enough information about it, and I feel like with COVID, especially at the time they were mandating people to take the vaccines, we didn't have all the information about it, and you're requiring people like
They're getting fired from your jobs and all
Yeah,
that.
from my
No,
first-
like that.
for my first job after I graduated. I'm not gonna like mention the name of the company, but basically they told me that I had to get the vaccine before I could start working.
Yeah.
And it was something I was already thinking about doing, so it didn't really like affect me like that. But I was like, okay, well that's funny because I really didn't think that. This was like May of 2021. Yeah, and yeah, I was just like, okay. And then I got to the job, and then my coworkers were telling me that they didn't get it. So I was like, yeah.
What? I guess
And
it's only
these
for
were
new
old-
hires.
And they were older white males. And
That's kind of frustrating, actually.
more
They
conservative.
get to get away with it.
You know, most times a lot of conservative white men don't mess with
They don't want the
things
government
like
telling
that.
them what to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, that's funny.
No cap.
You know, he told the little black girl she had to get it, but you know, the white guy doesn't have to. Like, it was just funny to me. But Yeah, I just feel like it's weird because at that time the CDC was telling us a different story every other week about like, okay, today we have to be 10,000 feet apart from each other. Tomorrow it's okay if you're in close proximity, just wear a mask. Like, so I don't know. That's my whole thing with that, and I don't think it's cool to mandate things that you don't know 100%
It was very
about.
totalitarian. Like it was very like, mind you, it's something that's anti-American. The way that they made us all get in lines and get that shot. It was very like, felt like something they point out in the news happening in the Middle
another
East or
country
something.
that's not a democracy.
God
Like,
forbid.
this is a democracy.
Monkeypox.
Like,
That shit just disappeared.
Right. Yeah. Bumps all over people, big bumps. Like,
That shit
We
just
have not heard
disappeared.
about that in a long
Yeah.
time.
Yo,
Like
that shit just
they're
disappeared.
trying to make us get that shot too, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, everyone get scared.
Monkeypox is a new thing.
Come on.
Shit just disappeared.
I would
But the one thing
voluntarily-
is, getting into this is actually a topic. China, this is a tangent. China is still suffering from COVID-19, like badly.
Are they really?
They've had restrictions going steadily from 2020 with
Damn.
like unwaived restrictions, and they recently were rioting like a month or two ago, rioting in the streets trying to get the restrictions lifted. They finally lifted the restrictions slightly, but people were getting so tired. It was only certain provinces that were heavily affected, which had those restrictions. So people were literally, because you couldn't drive out the area, they block off quote unquote interstates or whatever. So people would just get their stuff and walk out the province for real. There were people who just became nomads for a couple of days, got their stuff, and just walked out the province and started living somewhere else. No cap.
But like at that point, what can the government do? Because they put in restrictions because like the outbreak, like there's like an active outbreak.
So many people that it's just so difficult to stop. Like the critical point for there's a critical point, like an infection critical point rate for like infections to keep growing or die down. For every, it depends on the level of infectivity of the virus or whatever. But like that critical point is very low for China because they have so many people. So it's not difficult for that person to spread it to X amount of people as compared to here. It's a bit more difficult because there's not so many people packed
we're
together.
not as congested.
Yeah, there are people so packed together. And it's not their fault. It's just populous. But man, that's the real problem. It's tough for them to get rid of it. So they're still under quarantine, and it's very weird. But I think we can all agree that the COVID-19 booster should not be mandated, right?
It shouldn't. I
doesn't
really
seem
don't
mandated.
even think the actual COVID vaccine should be mandated, honestly, because because it got to a point where they were just like, just wear a mask and wash your hands and you're good. So if that's what we have to do, then let us do that. Then why mandate it?
Yeah. And they also they didn't really keep track of which brand you were getting. I remember I got the lady when I got mine at CVS when I was in California, and they gave me the first shot was which one? Pfizer. I got Pfizer. Give me the Pfizer.
No, they did not. Then give you Moderna.
They didn't know which one I had.
Oh my god.
They didn't know which one I had.
Jungle juice.
Yeah, huh?
They didn't have it on file.
No, they didn't have it. They had no knowledge. They just asked me, which one did you have? And I was like, Pfizer. And they were like, okay. He said,
it's Johnson & Johnson.
But she said, yeah. But I think I showed her a little bit of like my face. And I think I showed it on purpose. Like, why would you know this? So like, she just said to me, it doesn't matter. Like, apparently you can just like.
Well, it doesn't matter.
She said she just been giving them out. So, but no, but I did mine in a demographically Caucasian.
Okay.
So
I'll say this. I agree with what you said in terms of had there been, I am vaccinated, but I definitely would have felt more comfortable getting vaccinated had there been more research, more stuff, more time dedicated towards it. Because we don't know what type of research that they had done within this short time span. So maybe not, I don't want to say more research, but more time dedicated to the research.
I would have at least appreciated if they took it more seriously with the card system.
But yes, that.
The card system showed that it didn't really matter.
Yeah, because you were forging that.
It's just a
like,
piece of
creating
card,
people work for it.
card stock paper. Like,
Now,
couldn't have put any technology into it to make it.
because I
Right.
Yeah,
I'm
I
fungible,
know people
I
that
thought
are
about it.
selling
I do
them.
know
Yeah.
people who are selling them.
It's not serious.
People would look at high
Selling
and
them.
low for like,
Yeah,
oh,
bro.
hey, like people would
Here's
literally
buy the
ask like,
templates online
hey,
from
does
Amazon.
anyone have a template for them?
You can make that
You
in
you
your
you can make it.
Yeah.
So now
And that's how you know it's not serious.
what I will say though, there are a number of shots that you know that we had growing up that we had to get.
Flu shot.
And we had to get flu shots. Yeah, I don't know
Chicken
the.
pox.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's a technical name for the chicken pox shot, but yes,
Like
that
the
one.
tetanus?
Then the tetanus shot.
Yeah, we
So
had to-
there are a number of shots, a number of vaccines growing up that we had to get. Hell, when you got, excuse me, we can cuss on here.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I asked. I asked
Alright.
yesterday.
Okay, but hell, when you got there and you go into the service, you people who are going when you're going into the service, y'all are getting shot the hell up with who knows what types of vaccines. So I say all that to say that, do I wish that more time was dedicated to the actual vaccine process, research process, or whatever it is that they have to do? Absolutely. But this is something that we have already been doing. Us getting vaccinated is not new.
Yeah, but
It's
then, you know,
not
like,
new.
there were also like a lot of allegations, like in regards to
Yes, there were.
did somebody make this disease? Like, did somebody like?
I mean, it did come from a testing lab in
Like,
Wuhan, China.
Shit.
Like, that's where they were testing for the. But the thing is, the coronavirus itself has existed for over 20 years. It's already
know what?
printed on Lysol cans.
Exactly.
well.
I
It
had
has
I had a
been
bottle of
produced.
Lysol when we were in school. I was like in my dorm, and I
You
had
turn
like,
it on
a
the back
bottle-
of it and
It had
it reads
corona.
out.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like people were thinking, okay, well then if this was made, then they know what the cure is, so why don't they just give it? And like some people genuinely thought like it came from a bat or whatever. It came from like, you know, like it was a, you know, so it's a lot. It was just a lot of thoughts going on around, and no.
I definitely escaped from the lab, though. That's my take. That's my opinion. It definitely escaped.
Nah,
They definitely,
yeah,
it's
that's
definitely
Is
for the
that
epicenter.
alleged
For the
or-
epicenter, no, but the first infected
Was in
individuals
China.
were in not just China, but like
Wuhan.
no. No, but the first infected individuals were in Wuhan, China. Yes.
I'm sorry.
That's fact.
And that's
You can't argue that.
that's where
It was
the
also in Wuhan.
the
lab.
COVID testing
The
facility.
lab.
Yeah, the lab. The COVID
Okay,
testing
so the
lab.
lab was there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's just a coincidence for that to be the epicenter and the
Sorry.
Okay.
location
okay.
of the first
Well, then
people.
That makes sense.
Of
yeah.
course, it
Like how
came
much?
from
You
there.
imagine how
Yeah,
much
got
trouble
sick.
you would get in if you like actually like say like like
It was me.
I can acknowledge that we let it get out. You know what I mean? Kill over.
They
You
couldn't
know what I
admit
mean?
it.
But you can't.
Oh my
Millions.
But
god.
Donald Trump used to call it. I mean, look, he used to call it out, but at the same time, it's not their fault. Like, for example, when the Spanish flu that happened to some of our grandparents, they didn't. I mean, they did name it the Spanish flu, but I don't think there was a malevolent reaction towards Spaniards because of that. I don't think people started treating them with negativity. You know. So that's the kind of thing it is dangerous. Like, for example, we should be happy that when the Ebola crisis happened, I think that happened when we were in high school, maybe 2014.
Middle school.
No, not that.
Wait, no, I'm thinking swine flu.
Swine
Sorry,
flu was
I'm thinking
definitely
I forgot
yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
swine flu.
Swine flu was that was middle school time.
My
Fine.
memory
But
didn't even
continue.
that
Go ahead.
far.
Sorry,
Yes,
you talking
Okay.
about
So, yes, but that, like, even swine flu, those are proper names for viruses, and that's the proper way to think of a virus. You don't tie it to an epicenter
Yeah.
because of how it can affect the people who are from there. So let's be serious about that part. And yeah, you know.
Yeah, like that actually did
Yeah.
affect a lot of people in the Asian community. Like
Yes.
they were getting a lot of backlash, and it's not fair. That
Yeah,
was
it's not
not
fair.
fair at all whatsoever.
Nope.
But when people don't know the truth about something, they just want to like formulate something in their mind to give them some sort of like peace at the moment because they think they know what's going on.
they want to place blame somewhere.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah, and that's not cool. That's not cool.
For sure. Some other stuff that's kind of troubling. U.S. schools. You guys are gonna die at this one. especially those two over there. So, U.S. schools finding a trend of mock slave auctions. And
That's heartbreaking.
I'll kind of get through it a little bit. It's going to be a little bit of a long read. I'm just going to go through some bullets. The hidden curriculum is known as an amorphous collection of implicit cultural messages of the dominant culture, right? The white culture, implicitly stated. These unwritten rules reinforce an often unspoken social order in which people of color are encouraged or expected to be subordinate. So basically, in schools right now, there have been several occurrences across the United States of several schools in which history classes have been taught. For this is usually high school. However,
Middle school, bro.
we experienced the same thing when we were in middle school. All three of us went to the same middle school, sixth grade. In sixth grade,
A teacher.
a teacher who we won't name, just out of trying to be somewhat
Respectful.
respectful. For whatever reason.
For whatever reason.
Nothing's gonna happen to him regardless.
Yeah, he's gonna be fine, right? That tough corner classroom with the little.
He's
But he basically.
regardless.
So let me read through the story.
Tenure.
Let me read through the story. I'll hold this part. Several occurrences in October 2022 in Amador High School in Southern Creek, California, near Sacramento.
Wait, Michael, what happened though?
I know I want to build the suspense.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay,
I want to tell you.
Okay.
Okay.
But
We on the same page.
on the platform, while I had the suspense, no cat, look cat. You got it, bro. You got it. But the Blender platform allows you to create credit lines as a borrower. You can choose your own interest rate and minimum monthly payment. Put that credit line out on a dashboard where other members who choose to act as lenders can lend to that credit line if they deem it worth lending to. This is going to be determined whether based on whether your credit line has credible statistics in terms of your repayment and borrowing rates, the amount of current available balance for you to withdraw as a borrower at the current time, the number of other lenders who are also lending to you at the current time. These are the things which have the highest correlation with a lender deciding to lend funds to you and your credit line. The lender will receive interest compounding payments from the borrower, just like the bank will receive interest compounding payments through a borrower's credit line, such as a credit card or other form of credit distributed to a borrower. Right now, we have a system called the Blender Verified Registry, which allows you to become Blender Verified. Becoming Blender Verified is something that Kane's been working on very heavily. He has a form that he's built, and we're working on just 2 days ago, updating it a little bit for allowing you all to determine or really ask for a certain amount of money to be given to your credit line in the form of collateral to increase the credit limit of your credit line at will. So currently, your credit lines are limited by a credit limit, which is equal to the amount of collateral put in your credit line. You put that collateral in first to create it. It can be as little as $5 and a penny. That little. But after that, you can have your credit limit increased by us by going through our Blender Verified Registry. You're going to submit a Blender Verified Registry form, which is going to have you submit a piece of data concerning who you are as an individual, why you need the funds if you wish to explain, but at least the amount of money that you want to receive as a credit limit increase. You're also going to input the total, so things like your social. It's gonna be required. I'm just giving you a heads up. We need to know who you are. I'm letting you know in order to ascertain. We need to be able to hold you accountable in a court of law. Essentially, I hate saying it that way because it's a very harsh way of saying it, but it's the reality. If you end up defaulting on your credit line and becoming a delinquent borrower, we have to be able to take you to small claims court for the amount that we've given you in collateral. This is because we paid that collateral out to borrowers who you defaulted on. So when they didn't get their payments back, we paid them the collateral to which we helped you comprise. We helped you put that together and put it in your credit line, which allowed you to borrow those funds. However, you didn't pay your borrowers back. We make sure we didn't repay your lenders back. We make sure the lenders are always covered. So we'll distribute that collateral to the lenders. They're good. Their principals are covered. They lost no money. However, you have to now pay back Lenderblock Corporation for us giving you that credit. However, if you're responsible, if you're credible, if you understand how a typical secured credit card works, this is the same thing. Except instead of your secured credit card being solely based on the amount of collateral you put down, we're telling you, hey, we'll put down a little bit on your behalf as well because we believe in what you're doing. And you've gone through the process of verifying who you are to Lenderblock Corporation. That's really the principle. We're now acquiring funds to help distribute these funds out to different borrowers. So we have funds coming in that will allow us to increase people's credit limit. This is a new form of funding that we've been pursuing for the past maybe 4 months, and we do have funding coming in 2022. However, we need participation for the funding to continue coming in. That's a very important piece of it. We need people to actually participate and request additional collateral assistance through becoming Blender verified for this funding source to continue coming. This does not go to our compensation as individuals. We may have to receive, some help from. Like Kane is working pretty hard on this, so Kane may, get some compensation out of it. I'm just being really frank with you guys, but it's not going to be much. It's really going towards putting additional funds in for borrowers to borrow against, so that way the platform can kickstart. That's the entire purpose. So sign up and become Blender verified, because there are limited funds. We're going to get more of these funding rounds in, but this is not equity funding. This is actually a type of pro bono social impact fund that sees the Blender platform as a reasonable cause to give grant funding. So because we're giving out a FICO-free credit to individuals in the community who may be barred from credit otherwise, it's an ethical benefit for the society to support the Blender platform. That's why this funding source has now become available. So help us to make this a reality. And I say, become Blender verified, download the app, and yep. The partner platform also allows you to do something very similar. However, I need to get into the next bit, so I can't get into the partner platform again. Might have a little bit of time at the end. But
slave auctions.
Slave auctions.
So back to
here's a
slavery.
story. Here's a story.
Jesus.
When we were in 6th grade, we had a teacher named Mr. Bleep.
Oh! I thought it was so sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Yep.
Mr. Bleep.
Mr. Bleep was suspected to be a racist. We all thought he was a racist. No proof. But we all had our own. We all had one day we knew for sure. But I've had stories like I can come up to get like my graded papers where he calls your name. Hey, Michael, come get your paper. I go up to get my paper. He looks at me and just throws the paper off the desk. Throws the paper off the desk of the paper down to the
How
ground.
old were you at the time?
Middle school.
11, 12.
Can you imagine?
It was real life. That was not imagination.
We were in a group.
This was real life.
No, but I mean, like, can you imagine, like what that feels like? Cause
Oh yeah,
you went through that, but like for somebody who didn't go through that, like think about yourself, 11 years of age.
Oh yeah.
And at that point, like adults be tall and big to.
He's a 60-year-old man. Yeah.
Exactly, like doing that to you, like how would you
Just
feel?
throw
I mean,
your paper off.
Yeah, for real. That came up.
Yeah.
He said, "Here, take."
So what?
All right, so that's not the story. That's
That's
not the story.
Back to
But we all had our suspected, like, I think he's racist. So, but one thing we
at
knew.
6 years old, I mean,
Sixth grade.
sixth grade, you're not like, it's not fully there, but you be like,
I don't think he likes black people. Yeah. So finally knew because we got into the slavery section of history, right?
Okay.
U.S. history, and he said, "Okay, in order to really make it real, I'm gonna try to mimic his voice." All right, guys. So in order to try to really make it realistic and for us to understand just how slave auctions really happen, we're gonna do a mock slave auction right here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna set the black students to this side and the white students to this side. And this isn't funny, guys. What we're doing is just making you understand.
we gotta come over on the boat first.
We were in different classes. I was in one section. He was on another section.
The first part,
You did every
you gotta lay on the ground.
And he let the white students chain him up.
Huh?
Nah,
Oh my god! Yo, that's
He was like, we had to lay on the ground and like different, like next to each other, like we was on a boat for like.
Is this all the students? Is the
Yeah,
black students?
everybody lay on the ground. You like, all right, you get like 10 minutes to get up and like just roam around, and then you get back in your spot, like shit like that. But then you get off the boat, and then it's time for the auction. It's time for your auction.
Y'all better.
No, but the thing is, in my class, there was only one other black kid in my class. Shout out Caleb. And in my class, it was he literally we didn't do all the demonstration, but I think he just wanted to see black kids go through that. Like, but anyway, my class, he didn't make me get on the ground or anything, but we did like the debate between an abolitionist and a pro-slavery, individual, like a slaveholder. And remember, Mr. Collins said, "So I'll play the slave."
Oh
That's what he said.
no! He said his name. He said his name.
What high school you went to? Middle school?
They can find out though. But all right, fine. Well, man, that's not my fault. That's not my fault. You shouldn't have done that.
No, but it's not like you committed a crime. Like
No,
What's happened to me?
it happened.
Anyway,
So.
This is my
happened to
history.
all of us. He said, yeah, I want to be the slave owner. And he
I want to be the slave.
He said, yeah, I'll be the slave owner. He said, I'll be the slave owner. So then he was like, okay, so tell me, why should I let my niggers go?
He said that. He said that.
That's what he said.
Stop it. Stop
No,
it right
I'm
now.
not lying.
Yo, y'all
Michael
know
Lewis.
He said, tell me, why should I let my niggers go? And I remember that. That's the piece I remember. He didn't make me do that.
I'm like,
I remember when he threw my paper on the desk. I was like, he's racist. And then he did the slave auction. And I was sitting there with the only other black kid in the class, and I was just like, bro, this is the most.
Y'all told y'all parents, didn't y'all? What they do? What they said?
My mom went up there. My mom went up there.
I'm sorry.
Actually, I told my mom about something else, but
The brownies.
the brownie.
What?
There was this kid named Brown. Last name
Brown.
Yeah.
Something to that
And
extent.
and he used to call him Brownie. And we didn't like it because he was black. And like our school's a PWI, like strict, like, very obviously PWI, our middle school. So we're like,
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm hyped right now.
nah, but we
so
heard him
sorry.
call him Brownie.
I'm sorry.
And we were like, hey, why are you calling him Brownie? And he was like, no, it's Brownie. He knows.
It's
Cultural ignorance.
And they ended
Yeah.
up at the nurse, and I got suspended.
Yeah, I mean, we got into fights over things like that too. Remember, I punched a kid in the mouth. This kid who came, remember that kid Tyler? Came like 1 year in middle school. This kid Tyson, he came from military school. He was like, this kid, anyway, he called me a nigger in the locker, so I robbed him. But
And then
nothing
the thing
happened
is
though
that-
because,
Okay, nothing. They didn't punish you. Okay, good.
nah. But you
I'm
got in
so
trouble?
sorry
You got
I
in
had
trouble
to
for
do
defending
Yeah,
yourself?
I stabbed him with a pen until he bled, and then
Oh, that's
he
different.
ended up in the nurse. And I had to go,
I mean, she's a
got
girl.
suspended.
Though.
But they
Oh, it was a
suspended me
guy?
for a day.
Oh, okay.
It was a good. Who was it? It was a guy.
Yeah, it was a white guy.
Yeah,
He called me like my little. There's these like tasty cakes or some of these brown cupcake things
Oh,
that they be selling.
yeah.
He called me one of those, and like I can't remember exactly what he said, but something like alluding to the fact because I'm dark, and I'm black and I'm dark,
Yeah.
and he said it in like physics class or something. At that point, I just saw red. I had a pen. We were in physics lab, so I had a pen. And I
You should
just-
didn't 7 minutes. Now he was sitting down.
Yeah, he was sitting down.
Like,
You
what you?
trying to
No, don't tell me.
I mean, I don't.
At least he's
mind.
all right though. At least because you could have gotten in trouble.
Cause yeah, I got suspended for a day, which wasn't bad. And my parents cause it was. I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Westminster, Maryland, but it's a very
Carroll
rural,
County,
Yeah.
like it's very.
As if you're from Baltimore area, if you keep going up Liberty Heights, turns into Liberty Road, keep going up Liberty Road, past like Owings Mills and all that, and
up to
keep
Carroll
going.
County.
Yeah, you're gonna be.
Yeah, and I grew up in Columbia, Maryland, where like there's a lot of diversity.
For
So
sure.
when I moved to Westminster, like it was just a culture shock, and
For sure.
people were
Yeah, I get
kids
that.
were saying all sort of things to black kids, and I think like after like 2 or 3 incidents that I had, people just need to not do it again, like to
Yeah.
stop messing with me.
Yeah,
So
you
I
gotta
was
put
fine,
your
but like
foot
those
down.
initial like
Encounters.
yeah, oh my god.
But the reason why we didn't tell our parents during the situation, even we were saying is
Oh, so
like
you didn't tell him?
we didn't tell our parents a lot of this stuff.
I mean,
I mean, some of us did,
Mhm.
but I told my parents once when I failed a test, and I really felt like, bro, I think he's just like marking stuff wrong that isn't actually wrong on my test.
Wow.
And went in, and he was able to argue for. I only got like 1 point back, but I was sitting there like there were essay questions and stuff, and I was just like, I don't
How
know.
did you get this wrong? Like
Well, that's the thing I never liked about subjective types of
Yep.
subjects. That's why engineering was my thing. Is like
It's either right or wrong.
Yeah, I'm like right or wrong. You're a teacher. Mark it right or wrong. Boom.
If we keep it
If
pushing.
I spend 5 hours writing something, and you come, and I'm a good writer, I believe.
period.
But if you come and tell me that I use poor grammar, that's subjective. If you told me I improper diction, maybe that's a bit subjective. That's based on your English, but it just becomes more subjective as you get deeper into it.
Yeah.
And I think with style
use
differences,
that
cultural
as-
differences, how are you to tell me I didn't write a good paper? And anyway, what was I saying that for? But
You were saying that you told your parents about the test, but you didn't
yeah,
talk about
yeah,
it.
but I didn't really, so I kind of felt like a fool. 'Cause I said, "Damn, I accused the teacher of being racist." I actually stood up for myself and didn't really work out the way I expected. So I kind of just, I guess, learned to deal with it differently, because I should have told her the racist and reenactment, but I guess I was embarrassed. I don't know, bro. I don't know why.
I was
You don't
too
even know
young.
how to practice.
So I feel like I was
like-
really like,
yeah,
it
that's
was
what
just
I'm
too
saying.
young.
Yeah,
Yeah.
11-year-old, like, yo, you better cause so much
Exactly.
uproar.
Yeah, you
Up
don't
here,
want
about to-
to
like,
be that
I
guy. You don't want to be that guy.
Like, he was
Yeah,
the only history teacher, right?
yeah.
So
From sixth grade,
you had to like go
yeah.
through his class, like, yo, you
Yeah,
wanna.
yeah, like, am I just being weak? Basically, it was like, am I tripping? And we're kids, so you're not really.
Exactly.
You don't see it at how it is when you looking
Yeah.
back on it. You like,
Yeah.
Right, because you
Yeah.
said that to a high schooler. You know, it's
Yeah.
lit.
Do we even have
But
You're in
like
middle
you
school,
were
you're
11.
you're
and
11,
yeah.
yeah.
So-
But it happened to high schoolers too, which is the whole topic. So several occurrences in Amador, 2022 October 2022 in Amador High School in Southern Creek, California, near Sacramento. It ended its season after school officials learned that several players on the football team ended its football season after several players joined a Snapchat called "Kill the Blacks."
Oh my god.
So these are just several issues. In nearby Yuba County, members of River Valley High School football team produced and filmed a modern-day slave auction in the locker room. May 2022, white middle school students at Chatham School District in North Carolina held one by staging the sale of black classmates. I'm sorry, I have some typos here. I'm very busy. But some middle school kids in May 2022, some white kids in Chapman School District in North Carolina held a slave auction with their black classmates, essentially. In another incident, students at Newburgh High School in Oregon participated in a year-long virtual slave auction called Slave Trade that was uncovered by their parents in 2021. On the chat, they targeted black students and used homophobic and racist slurs while joking about how much they would pay for their black classmates. In 2016, in Barrington, Illinois, for instance, a mock slave auction was staged by Barrington High School itself, or Barrington High School students, in order to create what they described as school spirit, an event meant to bring students from the Chicago suburbs and urban areas together. So, one more, and back at River High School, which is in Yuba City, which is near Sacramento, River Valley High School, for their part in the mock slave auction, those boys who were actually in the video that was made by the football team in their locker room, they had to issue apologies, and they each received a 3-day suspension. So that kind of, I mentioned that.
Nothing, bro.
No, but no. The black kids who were on auction, on sale, were given the suspension. So the white students didn't get a punishment, and that's the problem.
How do I was suspended for being
Because they basically blamed the black students for being in it and said, "Look what you did. Look what you sat there on video while they recorded you doing that and made us all
allowed
look
this to happen.
and made us all look bad," which is valid. But we should be
Wait, so
saying
the
that
black kids,
people
the
should be
black kids
saying
like
that, not
willingly
the school.
participated.
Yes, but
Okay, no, that's not right. But I'm saying.
Okay,
yes,
so
but the
okay,
black
so
kids
that's
stood there. But
that's
this
an
is
interesting point.
it's
though.
not like, imagine you're in the locker room, right? Imagine it's not even necessarily being younger, but imagine you're a junior or sophomore. You're in the locker room. Some other kids are in there, right? Especially at the all boys school. So we really know it's a locker room, so it's all boys anyway. But you're in the locker room, and some guys say, "Hey, it's already an ongoing joke at the school where it's like, oh, I paid $50 for so and so." You know what I mean? It's just every school has its culture, and that's what they joke about.
Bro, that shit's disgusting.
And now you're in the locker room, and it's a big thing. All the kids are there, and they say, "Hey, you, come in. Hey, grab him. You know, and now you're standing there. You don't want to show emotion.
Yeah.
Because you're a guy in the locker room, so you're just standing there,
Yeah.
Take it.
and it's just like, yo, what do I actually do? You're sitting there thinking like, what do I do in this situation? Should I leave? But I can't leave. Everyone's literally standing here. It's like you're a teenager, so you're thinking you think differently than as a grown man. Man in a situation when they say this is fucking dumb. I'm leaving. You know what I mean?
Right.
But a teenager in high school is gonna sit there saying, "How do I deal with this social situation? What do I do right now?" And by the time that happens, the videos are made.
My thing is, like, I can't even say I'm shocked. I'd be lying if I said I'm shocked by hearing this. Cause I've kind of just told myself that maybe like the physical slavery is over, but the mental one isn't.
It's not.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
like,
For sure.
when I hear things like this, I'm like, yeah, I know it's still going on. But I just want to know what's the obsession? Why are they obsessed with us? Like, why? Like, why do they have us in their minds, like, all the time and doing things like this?
I think it's because being black is the antithesis of being white. So like, being white is achieved by. I was thinking about this recently. It's a harsh take though, very harsh take. But being white is a product of selective like breeding with other humans who also have light skin.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't happen by naturally breeding randomly, or like if human society didn't have some type of preference for lighter skin because it's different, because it has to be achieved by intention. You have to purposely achieve light skin, at least in the beginning. You know what I mean?
Because it says civilization started in Africa.
Well, it's just the dominant genes exactly. If you roll the dice, 75% of the time, the dominant gene will come out on top. You know, so it's just.
But like they're like like nice white people though.
There's nothing
But
wrong
like,
with.
but they don't think
Yeah.
like that, you know. They don't think
No.
like how the kids who were trying to sell black kids were thinking, and
I
what
know
their
what you
parents
mean.
are probably
I
thinking.
know what you
like,
mean.
where does that come? Like, why?
It's taught behavior. Though.
It's a taught behavior, and also humans are tribalistic. So like when you have a group of like people who are like we're different, right? It's white culture. I think has a lot to do with exclusionary tactics that make other people feel like they're not white.
You know, and
You know
even
what I mean? And that's how they, like we said earlier, if everyone's doing something that's not special, so they have to try to
Make it so that way it's only them who's doing it.
they try to make hierarchies.
cause like you know, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, my history is not that good, but didn't like the people who like the pilgrims who came from Europe actually came because they were trying to leave their own
Persecution.
country?
They were leaving because they were Protestants and something like that. That history's kind
Like
of
they
big in
want
my
to
mind,
like
too.
make their own like community for themselves, so
Yeah.
like they don't want anybody else in it.
Yeah.
But then why y'all tanning your skin like to be like us? Like why y'all getting implants to like have our features if you hate us? Like what? I don't understand. What's the obsession? Like if you like me, say that you like me. If you want to be like me, say you want to be like me. You know, I'll give you some tips, but don't like come at me
And
like
try to be me.
yeah, and then like try to hurt me
Mhm.
mentally, physically. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Now you're doing too much. Now you're not invited to the.
It's heartbreaking. It's just heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking all around that in a school system. It's one thing for it to have to be. It's one thing for it to be adults or
Exactly.
you know where
Do you think it's worse from an adult or a kid's perspective?
Dealing with racism,
Dealing
that's a
with
very
racism.
valid point.
It's worse for a kid.
But also think about being an adult, not being able to get a job or get paid as much as a competitor, or you know,
but
all
like,
this.
at least when you're an adult, and if you have some sort of esteem, at least you can always remind yourself who
Right.
you are, and you know, like what you deserve, and
You're a bitch.
the-
You're a
You
bit
said what?
strong. You're a bit strong.
Oh, okay. I thought you said something else.
oh
No.
oh no
But as a kid, like, come on, like, you don't even know who you are yet. You're like
For sure.
3 feet. You know what I mean? Like, you haven't built up that self-esteem. Like, you're getting made fun of because you have ashy legs. Like, and then you go home and cry about it. Like, you know, like, that's the reality of like a kid. Like, you know, but like as an adult, you know, we don't care about. I mean, we do care about things, but like we know how to process it and deal with it. Yeah, a little bit more.
I mean, because think about it, you all don't even feel comfortable enough to be able to take something like that home to your parents.
No, I didn't feel. I didn't even want my parents to have to think about that. That's nonsense. You know what I mean? Like I don't even want to come home and tell my parents,
as
like, hey, you
My
need.
teacher was racist.
Yeah, like now they're asking me what happened, why,
happened?
as
As
an adult,
We're setting up protests. We're doing all
For
sort
sure.
of things if
Yeah.
something like that
but
happens.
as a child though, that shit is it's. I mean, in any
It's damaging
in-
more as a child.
Damaging.
in any age range,
Yeah.
it can be damaging. It can be detrimental.
Yeah.
But as a child, it's especially considering the construct of adult versus child. And a lot of times we think a lot of times growing up we're taught that if this is an adult and they're telling me to do something, I gotta do it.
It must be at least
It-
more
it-
wise
it-
than what I think to do for myself because they're older. Nonsense, nonsense.
So
To a certain degree.
to a certain
Yeah.
degree, not blasphemy. Say it, blasphemy.
Oh, blasphemy.
Oh no, I wouldn't. Sorry. Anyway.
I used to say that or something.
Yes. I'm sorry. It was something he used to
An
say.
inside joke.
Yeah. But anyway, though, it's damaging nonetheless, and that's
It's damaging,
sick.
yes.
That shit is sick as excuse
Mentally.
me. Excuse me to say it like this. I know that we are. That shit is sick as fuck, and it's very heartbreaking that you have to go to school, a place where children spend the majority of their day, for that to be something that you deal with, to have to bring home and feel like you can't share because
It's not our parents' fault. Like our parents definitely
And-
are
and
upset
it's-
and we
and
didn't
it's-
tell
and
them. But as a kid, you don't want to cause problems.
we
for
don't
your-
want to cause
You just
uproar.
want to, you know.
we want to keep the peace.
Yeah, for real.
And that's fucked
I don't
up.
think that's natural, though.
It's what's
like,
the natural?
like
for us?
not being and not like feeling like you're a burden to tell your parents something.
No, but you just
No,
you're
no.
gaining independence as a young kid, and you don't. It's just like you just don't want to be that kid who, because if you tell your parents what, they're gonna have to come to the school.
Now they- yeah, yeah.
And now everyone sees, oh,
Your
Michael's
parents.
parents.
He told his
Yeah.
parents.
Maybe it's different.
Yeah, he's
Me-
mega weak. He
Me-
can't handle his own problems.
Well,
And now his
I
parents
guess
show up
like
to school.
I think different
That's what it
because
looks
like
like.
I never
He's in
cared
trouble.
about
His
any of
parents
that.
are in the lobby.
So, like,
Or
I
he's
had to
lame.
tell my
His
parents
parents are
something I
every
would.
time
I
he's in
get it.
trouble.
I get it.
Yeah, it's independence thing. Last thing I want to cover though, some culture news. There's a new app that came out like 5 weeks ago, the last week in November, really the last day of November. An app came out called ChatGPT.
What's the AI joint?
Yep, it writes papers for you.
Like
Jesus.
English
Needed
class
that.
papers, like,
Yep.
Excuse me. We should have had that.
It would have been helpful. It would have been helpful.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But the
Go ahead.
problem is, students in NYC schools are now blocked from using the app. This 5 weeks after its public deployment, and this is because created by OpenAI, this AI development firm. This software it just picks up on human speech patterns and expositional patterns, and can write better than most people can create an exposition.
Interesting.
And the school has no way of determining whether or not it's fake or not. It's so imperceptible that the school has no means of determining whether or not a student cheated or just wrote a darn good paper. So it's tough.
Damn, I wish that was out with me.
Of course. But AI is scary stuff because people do need to know how to compose. People need to know how to write. People need to know how
people
to.
need to know grammar.
People need to know how to
Like-
compose their thoughts into expositions too.
I mean, I guess, but like to what extent?
So you can explain yourself when you have an idea, whether it's written or verbally, knowing how to
Okay.
compose your thoughts and organize them.
Okay.
When you go through school, you pretty much first you learn how to write a sentence, right?
Then it's a
And
paragraph.
then it's a paragraph with one idea about what did I do today, and then you start structuring essays where you have 3 paragraphs maybe, then you get to 5, introduction, bodies, and conclusion.
Now full-fledged papers.
Now full-fledged papers, you know. It's so you gotta, but all that teaches you how to compose your thoughts and actually understand what do I even think about stuff. Like, if you never write papers, you're not gonna have any opinions that you can share with other people because you don't even know how to compose. You don't know how to construct thoughts. That's what you need to go through. Take those things seriously, and not knowing how to write will be detrimental to kids. Like that is very scary stuff. The question I have is, as a bit of a tangent, AI can now simulate human speech. It can make people look at you're saying things they're not saying, and it's also taking away. So you can have a full speech written by ChatGPT with your face on it, with
Jesus.
automated mouth,
That's scary.
and you sitting there saying something, and as those mouth movements and human patterns become more pinpointed, and that algorithm becomes better and better and better. Yeah, I gave an exposition for my dissertation virtually in 20 years, and I didn't actually know a thing. Because I used ChatGPT, you know what I'm saying? Think about how you can combine all these different things together and
So
get
it looks
by.
like you're talking, but you're not.
Yeah, well, this app doesn't do that specifically, but now moving beyond just ChatGPT into AI and how AI can have negative implications. Think about how do we govern technology, especially AI, and do we see it as a problem? This is a separate little piece, but a problem that a lot of human skills like writing are becoming almost needless to learn. You don't need to learn them if AI can do it. So are these things that we are changing? Is the future putting in several key topics into a generation machine and having an exposition written for other people to interpret? Is that the future? You know?
It might be, but it shouldn't be.
I mean, that's a skill we all should have. If you want to rob yourself of developing it, then like that's on you.
That's true. But is that where the future is headed in terms of like, because
Well, I think what if that's gonna be the difference between like the people leading the future generation and just everybody else probably. Like the people that can actually articulate themselves and you know what I mean?
the knowledge gap's going to grow so much.
It's gonna grow, so it's really gonna
I feel like I feel like I can't speak on this because
not you using it.
I would be no.
I already was on it.
I'm good on it. It's like that.
Listen, I used Check and
Check.
But
Okay,
Chegg is essential to like a lot of courses though.
So here's
When your teachers aren't giving you the support you need.
Here's the difference.
Okay,
here's the difference
go.
between Chegg and AI.
Okay.
Chegg is we have a problem. We're walking you through how to solve it.
Yeah.
This right here is
I got a problem. I
Like,
can't
I'm
write
right.
my essay.
I'm gonna solve it for you.
I
Yes.
can't write my
Finished
essay.
product, paragraphs, PDF, Word, whatever you want.
AI
boom.
is here.
You know?
Here, you have a problem. Whatever problem you have, we can solve it. It's not just.
It's not.
It's not. Chegg is okay. Here's an equation. Let's walk you through step by step. This right here puts people at a disadvantage because you can have AI do this, that, and third. But when it's time for you to, in the event that you have to get up on a platform and it's physically you have to speak. You have to articulate. You have to do X, Y, and Z yourself. AI isn't going to be there to be able to help you do shit. It could do that for you here on a laptop, or you throw up a projector and now it needs to pretend to be okay. But in person, nothing is going to ever be able to replace
Human creativity.
to be able to replace human creativity, human connection, human articulation, the affliction of your voice as you say certain things. Nothing is going to be able to compete with that. You can make as much as you want to be able to try to mimic it as much as you want to, but what you can't replicate is emotion, and what you cannot replicate is real heart-to-heart connection. AI can do as much shit that it wants to try to do, and yes, there are things that it can replicate, but overall, like, if someone were to sit right here, someone who's been using AI for however many years to put their thoughts together, and now it's okay, let's sit down and have an interview with this person, you're fucked.
Yeah, it's a problem. But one thing I have in my mind is human beings might adapt the way that they interpret language based on the AI. So it might become an infinite loop of AI now. If people really stop taking things like school might change a lot by the time we have grandkids.
Probably.
Yeah, like in terms of what people actually take seriously to learn, how much commitment kids are forced to apply to school. I think a lot is going to
People
change.
had a whole online year last year.
They didn't learn much,
You know
bro.
what?
They didn't learn
a
much.
whole virtual
I don't
learning.
even care what happens.
Imagine
I just
being
need
10 years
people to
old,
know the
man.
difference between
No,
your
man.
and
Yo,
you.
I
Say it again.
Yes.
Say it again.
Yes.
sitting in
I
front of
will.
an iPad and a computer.
I don't care
like,
what
come
y'all
on,
do.
bro.
I just need y'all to know the difference between your and you are. Okay, there and they are, and there and there and there. Like, I need y'all to be able to like know the punctuation and the difference between the two. Because I'm tired of seeing them used like interchangeably. Like, come on.
That's the least of our worries.
Come on!
As long as you can come.
Do you think that's the least of our worries?
Yes,
Yes.
the least of our worries is people
it is
not
the
being able to gather thoughts together into organized sentences.
Okay. Because
That takes practice. That's not. Think about a baby doesn't know language. Learns the basis of language. She learns the basis of language. Then it's just objects, colors, concepts, big, small, daddy, mommy, and then sentences. And then school refines that understanding of combining ideas into structures that we call sentences. Has to have a subject, has to have an action that the subject
Predicate.
is doing, or a predicate. What's a predicate again?
Now you know I don't know.
Predicates are the part of the sentence where action is actually being taken. So that the predicate includes the verb and so on.
Okay.
So
Michael jumps.
Michael jumps through the hoop. So like if I were to identify noun versus predicate, noun is Michael. You could put a slash after Michael jumps through the hoop. That whole jump through the hoop is predicate. Jumps is the verb. Through would be preposition. Hoop. Through would be preposition. The would be an article adjective. Hoop would be the object of the preposition.
All right. Shit, I don't remember that. I don't remember.
I couldn't tell you.
So like
It's a sentence.
It's a sentence.
it's definitely like to another example, like to add on to that.
Yeah.
When you have someone who's going into, so somebody said I ain't know all that. Thank you.
That's Aiden.
Thank you.
What's up, Aiden?
Hello, Aiden. Glory. Amen. So like you have someone, for example, who's about to go into law. I'm not about to put a fuck. I could really cuss like this for real.
You can do what you want.
Okay, because I do for real. I'm sorry.
Go do your thing.
Amen. I'm not about to put a fucking AI, whatever the hell this shit is, to defend me in a court of law.
Oh yeah. But
Okay.
somebody would. Somebody probably will.
But again, there are
That might be wise, if it gets trained enough over enough court sessions.
If it gets now, here's the thing. That is definitely going to be the scary
That
part
might be
about AI
wise.
because you can train it to you can train it to combat different thoughts. Okay.
Yeah, but the thing is, the thing is about it. Training AI is the most difficult part. You have to train it very specifically to do
specific things.
It's very specific tasks that you're looking for it to do, and we may not realize how other times we think we're doing one action, but we're actually combining a lot of different actions together. Because we're humans, we can do it. We can multitask a couple things together. And I'm looking here, I'm listening to you. Like those are two different actions completely. And then also the processing of what the words mean and responding. All those are different processes that are happening simultaneously. So I think sometimes we underestimate just how complex our brains are working. The computer is not. The computer is being trained to identify objects from a selection of oranges. Okay, give it a whole bunch of different oranges, tangerines, boom, 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 everything that looks like an orange. Then I'm going to feed a lot of little orange round objects that may look like oranges. And okay, so there's a difference between this and the real orange. Can you, and reward it when it does find one. When it doesn't find one, don't reward it. You keep training. You keep training the algorithm very specifically. So you might have an algorithm that's very good at detecting oranges. Give it an apple, it doesn't play a factor. It's just not an orange to the algorithm. Is it an orange? No. You haven't trained on apples. So you have to think about how much human understanding encompasses. And AI, it's not to be too scared of, because we are people of technology. We're not going to be afraid of it. But in these types of applications here, culturally, I actually put this as my cultural news topic, not any tech topic, because culturally, it affects the way that people will understand language as we start to think about Twitter language, social media language, text language. Human language has been changing for the past 15 years of our lives, continuously, from using MySpace to Facebook to Twitter to whatever, different slang. So just understanding that it's going to change, yes, but at the same time, it's not necessarily bad. It's just it's going to develop. Yeah. It's going to develop.
I feel like we just gotta know like where to use technology and where not to. Like we need to know our limits. Like it's not everything that needs to be like taken up here when it comes to tech. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, like we need to know where to
Draw the line.
Mm-hmm.
The problem though is that there are always going to be, and I mean it's sad to say, but I mean there are always going to be people who use things like this to their advantage, but for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Because people making money off of it, of doing it, and like at the end of the day.
Absolutely, but I mean like even like just for harmful reasons, like if it comes to, God forbid, I pray it wouldn't be something like this, but holding someone for ransom, things like that. So I pray I didn't give anybody who ever made me watch this.
Oh, I have an idea.
I pray to God not. But there are people who are going to use this in the worst of ways. And when you give people like this an advantage where it's technology that's involved, they will do their best to bring people to their knees to get what they want. And it's just it's how the world has always worked in that regard.
Yeah.
Whenever there are significant technological advancements that are made, there are always groups of people who ethically have
no boundaries.
Who ethically have no boundaries and who have the worst of motives, and that just is what it is.
Yeah.
And I feel like in a situation like that, you can't say that you're not gonna do it at all because those types of people exist, but maybe you can have some consequences. Maybe there can be like consequences, like maybe if they catch you doing this in school, you can be expelled.
Shit, they goddamn don't even have consequences for people who are doing slave auctions in school. So what the hell consequences they gonna do with AI?
The school definitely knew about that and encouraged it.
So
you know what I mean? Like that can't take place in the culture where the teachers aren't.
But
really
that's
saying,
America. America, like our punishments are selective. Like we punish. It's like double standards with our punishments. Like we punish who we want to, and
to the
like,
extent of
and it's not fair. Like I don't know. I don't like our punishment system.
It could be a lot worse. You get your hand cut off for stealing a chocolate bar.
Yes, in other countries.
Hung for protesting.
And that's why they have better morals because like they.
Hey. That's a very.
That's debatable.
Okay, like
I've heard this argument.
Let me rephrase what I said. Like, okay, in another country, like you say, thank you. You shake the person with your
those things don't matter.
With your right hand.
That's not it. No. We're talking about like
if you steal, you get.
We're talking more so about forms of government that don't allow people. Like, okay, if you're in the form of government where they can cut your hand off for stealing.
Okay, that's
what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about.
No, but wait, do they really do that?
There are some countries that do that.
Saudi Arabia.
There's some people. There's some.
I thought you were exaggerating.
No,
you're being serious.
Yes, like there are some countries like there are public executions to make prime examples out of you. No. Yes, they do that. Yes, they do.
Yeah, of course.
Well, that's so deep.
That's real life, though.
It is. That's real life, though.
Mm-hmm. It happens. So, boys, guys, we're gonna wrap it up pretty soon. I want to do one more major announcement of everything. First, I want to thank y'all for actually tuning in. Those of y'all on my live, go subscribe on YouTube. If you're on my live, let's clap.
Because this is the first podcast of the year.
Yep, first.
And the first podcast had 2 women.
Yes.
Talk about it.
Yep. Now y'all loving that. Actually getting some pretty women on here and knowledgeable, smart women on here that can help us to, diversify, give some better perspective. You hear these two and have anything from the big damn here.
Oh, Jesus.
At least they have, better. This is the best discussion that we've had in a while. So we need to keep this going. You guys. Yeah. For real.
Sorry, go ahead.
You know me, I got you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, for real. And also, you'll meet Naomi pretty soon too. Naomi is our chief merchandising officer. She made all the clothing, so she hasn't been on the podcast yet. We all went to Morgan State actually, so everyone on this side. He went to Howard. He went to Ursinus, if you know, but he went to Howard. Ryan went to Howard. That's cool. We have no hate for Howard. You just have a superior. Of course, they have a superiority complex, so they have no reason to hate. He shook his head.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Morgan's cool, bro. Come on.
Yo said Morgan May. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Morgan's
yes,
cool.
Sir.
I don't know why I'm Morgan May. I'm not Morgan. I'm not Morgan May, but
I did graduate
I graduated from Morgan State University. I'm not Morgan May.
Nah, Morgan made me. I'm not gonna lie, because and you know me, when I was 17 and I came here, started engineering here, like I'm pretty sure who I was at 17 isn't who I am right now.
That's very true. For
Well,
sure.
some things, but like
science
in as a whole.
You definitely matured, but you would have matured anyway.
You think so?
Yeah.
It just
Okay, well, yeah, but I feel like some life experiences. It's the
Yeah,
experiences for me that really changed my life at Morgan, and I don't know if maybe I would have gotten them elsewhere, but it would have taken much longer.
Yeah, for sure. Morgan's a good environment because you're in university is going to put you in that environment where you're learning, right?
Yeah.
However, Morgan's great because it was a place where we learned well. It's HBCU. The teachers care about you a bit more because of that. But it's not such a harsh environment like a PWI where you're being conditioned, like we said through here, to be subconsciously subservient to white people. Like when you go to those institutions and all you see is just white influence, believe it or not, no matter who you are, it does something to your psyche being in an environment in which the people who look like you are controlling you. I didn't see that well because I looked at the comments, the words.
the people who don't look like you.
Yeah, you're being controlled by people who don't look like you, so it makes you feel, powerless. So it's a real thing. Your benefits of going to HBCUs, and if you come to one, you will see that it's just as good as going to a PWI. It's just we're just waiting for the world to kind of give us that approval, that recognition, so we don't get second thoughts and we're not questioning where'd you go to school again? Oh, okay, cool. Like it shouldn't be treated that way.
Yeah.
That's what we're saying. So engineering here, marketing, business economics, all of us sitting here.
They're getting a med school, so.
Who's in med school?
Morgan's getting a med school.
Oh, Morgan's getting
that.
one. Yes,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
are.
yeah.
I thought you said you were
Oh,
going to med.
I thought it was
Hey,
that
med.
too.
But
Yeah.
I know you said you earlier you said you wanted to like touch on our experiences here.
Yeah, for sure. Like, what was it like being one? You two are both women engineers, and being women engineers is a bit of a rarity because STEM is a very male-dominated field at this moment. But the funny thing is that the fastest growing group of STEM graduates are Black women.
Amen.
So that's a very, very interesting statistic, and it shows that the trends of growth are more important than the status quo now. Because you wake up and the status quo of today is no longer true for tomorrow. So the trend really shows you more. And what is it like kind of being one of those pioneers who added to those numbers?
Not a pioneer.
It is because if you go into the school of engineering, I mean, you may have one girl in your class,
It's a handful.
So it's a
There
pioneer.
were like only 3 girls in case, and there's like what 20 of us or something.
Yeah. And even in electrical engineering specifically, in the entire department, I'm real Naya, Alicia. Now I have to remember everyone's name. I'll forget some. But like Rosales, not Rosales. What was her next name? Last name was Rosales. She was Latina.
Oh, you're talking about
Yeah.
Aisha.
Yeah. Aisha Morales. So we had girls in our classes, but they basically stuck together and
Yeah, we did.
they tell us about that. I'm talking.
I would definitely say it's interesting to say the least. It's definitely eye opening in the sense of like Mike said, there's always only ever a handful of women in such a male dominated field. So like I know some of my classes it would maybe be like 5 girls in a class of 25.
Yep.
That's a fifth of women in a class of 25 people. So if we were to break up into groups, let's say 5 groups, each group has 1 girl in it. one girl in a group of 4 other guys. Like, that was always the case.
What is that like?
It's
Okay, go ahead.
it's cool. Sometimes it's annoying, but I mean it's cool because I mean what is it like? For me, I don't want to say it didn't matter whether there were more women versus more men. I was there for math and science. Math was always my thing. I loved it. So for me, it was just hey, I'm doing this. I like this. Let's see how this goes. And I mean, yeah, there aren't too many women here, but oh well. Keep it pushing.
Right.
I hate to have to say it like that, but I mean, for me at least, that's what it was like. It was great, definitely, to connect with the women that were there, because what it showed is like, damn, these shorties are smart. And I mean, some of the smartest people who I met here were the women in engineering, smart as hell.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, I was one of the people. I just kind of made it through, and I for real, like I made it through, and I did
well,
okay.
Did well though.
Thank you. I would say I was an average C.
Graduated at the same time.
I was an average C engineering student. I know some women who were average A engineering students. Like they loved this and they really had a drive for it. So what I appreciated was that I saw that the women who took this on really had the heart for it. They had the passion for it, but more importantly, they had the wherewithal to stick with it and to see it through. Yeah.
And you're just for clarity, you're an electrical engineer. You're a civil engineer. What was a civil like? Because that was kind of separate. You're in the newer building, Cedars.
Yeah, for me, I didn't mind that like most of my colleagues were male. I think I've naturally always like been more connected to men anyway.
Same.
Like, yeah. So
Same.
like I prefer being friends with men more than women, to be honest. So it didn't bother me at all, and like everybody, well, like 99% of people here are black. So like I like that. Like I felt like, looking back now, like to me this place was heaven. Cause once I stepped onto them construction sites, once I sat in those offices at the engineering firms, nobody there is like me. Like, and I'm someone that I guess like things like that really matter to me. And I didn't know, like, I mean, going into school, I knew like, okay, like not many black people are like into STEM and all that. So like when you go to the real world and you're working, like you might not see as many people like you. I knew that, but I guess it didn't really click in because where I was here, it wasn't like that. Everybody here was like me. So like, but when I started working, and that's been the like one of the biggest struggles for me because it's like people from different races communicate differently.
Of course.
And when you communicate differently, now there's so much more room for misinterpretation.
You ain't lying.
Like, there's different standards when it comes to respect. Like, I don't talk to people like that, so don't talk to me like that. But they will think it's okay, and it's like, it was just a lot, and it really took a toll on my mental health. And I feel like the reason I did civil engineering, I've just like given up on my hopes and dreams.
You wanted to go back to Ghana and build some things.
That's literally why I studied civil engineering, so I could go back to Africa and help with the infrastructure and all that. And I was telling you before we went live today that like the current president in Ghana is just doing like a whole bunch of evil things and like misusing money and like imposing like taxes that he doesn't have to, like on the poor, and like misusing money that countries have given us for COVID and things like a whole lot of stuff. And it's like, if I go there and I try to help, like there are people who will be like, who does she think she is coming from America? We're not about to give her, any help. Like, even though your people need these good roads and bridges, but you just hating, like you're not gonna, so it's like, and it's like, I gotta make sure that I'm good before I go somewhere else. So like maybe one day if I have what I need and I'm good in life, maybe I can pick up a couple projects in Africa and like help with that. But like for now, like at the age of 25 and like thinking of possibly starting a future, like a family one day in the future, like I'm just at a point in my life where I'm kind of selfish and I want to make sure I'm good and I'm happy going to work every day. Like, I don't want to go to construction sites, like, and be, like, picking up rebar and, like, my hand, like, no, like, I wasn't built
Yeah,
for that type of life.
You
You
don't
know,
mind me
like
asking, where do y'all work?
Yeah, no cap though. I understand.
I don't. Can we say that on here?
where
Yeah,
is
so-
it?
Okay.
So I currently am not working.
Okay.
Yeah, I left my remote engineering job
Okay.
because the passive aggressiveness from my work, from my coworkers, was really making me heated. And then the company didn't have any work to do, but you still had to report 40 hours worth of work every week, and they go back and cross-check it.
But you had nothing to do.
No, not like literally nothing, but like in the day, like let's say you work 8 hours a day, you only had 4 hours of work to do because
Did you work at home?
yeah, because the company that our client, they also hired another engineering firm. So now they've split the work between two companies, and so we don't have it. And that like made my anxiety rise because it's like I'm a full-time employee. I have to have 40 hours of work to report a week, but there's 20 hours of work to do in the week.
You
Like
just got a BS.
yeah, but like how much BSing can you do when somebody is going back cross-checking the work that
You gotta act less competent than you actually are, and you're
And
half
it
as
only-
competent as you are. It takes you twice as much
Yes,
time.
but when you've been there for, I think I was there for like 5 months. When you've been there for like 3 months now, 4 months now, 5 months now, and the work doesn't involve like calculators and like, you know, rigorous math or anything. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, I just didn't like being in that. And then like
What did
I
your
was saying,
coworkers do?
the same, like, okay, so I like had 2 friends come into the company, like, or not recruit them, what's the word? Refer them, yeah. So like they were in the same boat, and they were doing the same thing, like just BSing what they were reporting, but for some reason, like, I get like, and it bothers them, but it just hit me worse because like I think I naturally have anxiety, so like things like that like really be making my
You
blood
just didn't
pressure
like
rise.
it.
Nah, yeah, like I don't want to have to lie about like what I did,
Ah.
like, you know what I mean? Like I don't like that, like, so, but that's that. But like I feel like I think what I'm passionate about now has changed too, and I think I'm passionate about money now.
Amen.
So I want to like get into that and like be more knowledgeable about that and pursue a career in that period and the story. Like, but hey, if you like engineering, do it. Like, I would not trade my degree for anything. Like, that's a fact. Like, I loved learning like everything I learned, and you know, like learning calculus 1, 2,
love
and 3.
calculus.
I
I
know
was
y'all
actually going
electricals.
through
Y'all didn't
that.
have to go up to 3, right?
We did.
You did.
We did.
Which engineer was it? Industrial that doesn't have to go up to 3? I was so mad. I was like, y'all like it, but no, like I loved everything I learned, like, and all the experiences I experienced, all the friends that I made, like we met in what 2015.
Yeah, we were in a summer program called PACE. The legitimacy and legality of which is still to be
Determined at this point in time.
But
But,
basically, it was a summer camp where we all had to stay there for 5 weeks. We had to go home once on the 4th of July. Well, apart from that, we did not get to go home. Just sleep there overnight. We had to stay up to like 3 to like 5 in the morning, usually. Sometimes later than that, but maybe earlier than that. But starved. We could only eat during certain times of day, which the last of which was at 5 o'clock every day. So
Good God.
it was really rough, and we were young, like 17 on average. So we pretty much like we all met each other. A lot of us met each other. Yvonne and I met there. There were like 27 maybe people who were total there. And a lot of us who stayed at the school and kept in engineering, it's a close group of people now who are friends.
That's what I'm saying. Like 8
Yeah.
years later, like that's crazy. Like you know, like I really appreciate like all the experiences I had. So like, if you want to, whatever you want to do, it doesn't even have to be engineering. Whatever you want to do, like if that's what you want and you're passionate about it, go for it, and like don't give up.
Yeah, for real. For real. And more women need to be in engineering as well. You guys are good contributors to teamwork because you have different types of solutions, and it's good to have different perspectives on board. For example, if you have a group of white males in the room, the ideas they come up with will be slightly homogenous because they're all thinking along the same lines. The more you diversify and bring in different types of people, the more quickly you're able to find sometimes simple solutions to complex problems because how people approach a problem. So definitely important. However, I want to wrap up a little bit here. The last thing I want to cover, guys, just to reiterate, is the Blender Verified Registry. Become Blender Verified with the Blender platform. We actually may make the form available outside of the app as well. That's probably a good idea, yeah. Just so that people can start submitting it, even if they don't have the app downloaded, then they can download the app a little bit after that, and get it started that way. However, we'll make the form online, available online, probably on our website this week. We can download that form, and the instructions to submit that form will be on the sheet itself. It's very simply to send your form and your verifying documents into a general email, which is called verifiedregistry@lenderblock.io. Sorry, verifiedregistry at theblenderplatform.io. And that has a connection to our internal system. We read and parse those emails for attachments. We see the validity of those attachments. And then from there, we go through and manually approve that your form matches the verifying documents which you submitted in terms of your license, front and back, such as proofs of your recurring income and proof of your residence. And by supplying those documents, we're able to verify that your verified registry form is indeed correct, and then we are able to distribute the funds to you as requested. You may not get the full amount that you have requested if you request an excessive amount. However, we are looking to distribute as much money as possible to as many members as possible. The partner platform, also check that out, guys. If you need more information on that, watch some of our older videos. This podcast is getting a little bit too long right now, so we're gonna cut it short. We're just under 2 hours. I'm gonna end it just on 2 hours. I think we started exactly at 2:30 perhaps. We have a nice 5 viewer count. I appreciate all of you. Please subscribe. Every single person who's live right now on our YouTube or Twitch, either one of those, please subscribe to whatever platform you're on. We're really trying to grow our YouTube channel. Our goal for YouTube is to have 1,000 subscribers on YouTube by, let's say, June of, I don't even have a set date, but I want 1,000 subscribers. That's
June
the key.
of 2023.
June of 2023.
Yes.
I was going to say that. Yeah, June of 2023. I think that's very feasible, very possible. Everyone, please subscribe on YouTube. Let's build this thing up. We're building up a community here that'll be independent of over-leveraged financial institutions, access to credit, FICO-free credit for all individuals who can prove that they're credible enough by just building their credibility on the Blender platform and the partner platform. We can build this system here so that the middle class can depend on itself and not through over-leveraged financial institutions like your Bank of America, like your Chevy Chase. Instead, allow the people around you to fund your activities, and you can fund others. Let's move the money around and make a true economy, and we can start this today. Just download the apps.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, and we thank you.
Bye, guys.
Appreciate y'all.
All right.